Ladies and gentlemen, we spend our whole lives trying to be in control. We plan, we strategize, we calculate every step. Because we think if we can control everything, we can guarantee success, happiness, or peace. But let me ask you something. How's that working out for you? The truth is, control is an illusion. No matter how hard we try, we can't control the world around us. We can't control every outcome. And when things don't go as planned, we feel lost. We feel frustrated. We start questioning ourselves, questioning our purpose, questioning everything. Let's talk about control. We spend our lives chasing it. We want control over our careers, our relationships, our future. We believe that if we can just plan enough, prepare enough, and work hard enough, we can make things turn out exactly as we want them to. And when things don't go according to plan, we get frustrated. We feel like we've failed. But what if the problem isn't that we're not in control? What if the problem is that we're trying to be? Think about the moments in life when you've been the happiest, the most at peace. Were they the moments when everything went according to plan? Or were they the moments when you let go, when you trusted, when you allowed something bigger than yourself to take the lead? Because here's the truth, control is an illusion. We can plan all we want, but we don't control the outcomes. We don't control the timing. We don't control how other people will respond. And yet, we cling to the idea that if we just try harder, push more, force our way through, we can bend life to our will. But life doesn't work that way. And the more we resist, the more we struggle. Imagine you're out in the ocean, caught in a rip current. Your instinct tells you to fight it, to swim against it with everything you have, but the more you struggle, the weaker you become. The current is stronger than you, and no matter how much effort you put in, it keeps pulling you back. But the moment you stop fighting, the moment you relax and let the current carry you, something incredible happens. You stop drowning. You start moving with the water, and suddenly, you find a way out. That's what surrendering to God looks like. It's not about giving up. It's about realizing that there is a current in life, a greater plan at work, and that sometimes the best thing we can do is trust it. We all know what it feels like to be overwhelmed, to feel like we have to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. We think it's all on us, our success, our happiness, our future. But what if we were never meant to carry it all alone? What if we were meant to trust? Look at the great leaders, the visionaries, the people who have made the greatest impact in the world. They didn't get there by trying to control everything. They got there by surrendering to something bigger than themselves. They moved forward in faith, not certainty. They didn't have all the answers, but they trusted that if they took the next step, the path would reveal itself. That's the kind of trust we need. The trust that says, I may not understand what's happening, but I believe there's a reason for it. The trust that says, even when things don't go my way, I know I'm being guided towards something greater. Because when we trust, we stop fearing the unknown. We stop hesitating. We stop second-guessing every decision, every opportunity, every moment of discomfort. We start living with confidence, with courage, with a sense of peace that no amount of control could ever give us. And here's the most powerful part. When we surrender, we open ourselves up to possibilities we never could have imagined. When we stop forcing our own plan, we allow a better one to unfold. The doors that seemed shut forever suddenly open. The problems that seemed impossible to solve start working themselves out. Not because we controlled them, but because we trusted enough to let go. Think about all the times in your life when things didn't go the way you wanted, only to realize later that it was the best thing that could have happened. The job you didn't get, the relationship that ended, the opportunity that slipped away. At the time, it felt like a failure, but looking back, you see it now for what it was. A redirection, a protection, a step towards something better. That's what happens when we trust. That's what happens when we surrender. There comes a moment in life when we realize that chasing success for ourselves is never enough. We grow up thinking that if we just work hard, achieve more, and reach the top, we'll finally feel fulfilled. But how many times have we hit a milestone only to ask ourselves, is this all there is? How many times have we gotten what we wanted only to feel empty inside? The reason is simple. True fulfillment doesn't come from what we get, it comes from what we give. Purpose isn't about how much we achieve, it's about how much we contribute. And the moment we shift our focus beyond ourselves, everything changes. Think about the people who inspire us the most, the greatest leaders, the people who have changed the world, the ones we admire. What do they all have in common? They weren't just chasing success for themselves. They were driven by something bigger. They had a mission beyond their own personal gain. They weren't just working for a paycheck or a title. They were working for a cause, a vision, a purpose that served others. That's the difference between success and significance. Success is about what we accomplish for ourselves. Significance is about the impact we make on the world. And if you want a life that truly matters, if you want to wake up every morning feeling energized, knowing that what you do actually makes a difference, then you have to surrender to something bigger than yourself. Because when we live only for ourselves, we limit our potential. But when we give ourselves to a greater purpose, we unlock something incredible. We tap into a level of drive, resilience, and passion that we never knew existed. Think about the most difficult moments in your life, the times when you felt exhausted, beaten down, ready to quit. What kept you going? Was it your personal ambition? Or was it the people counting on you? Was it the mission you believed in? When we serve something beyond ourselves, quitting is no longer an option. We don't give up because we're no longer just doing it for us. We're doing it for the people who need us, for the future we're building, for the difference we're meant to make. And here's the most powerful part. When we surrender to a purpose beyond ourselves, we find a level of fulfillment that no amount of money, success, or recognition could ever give us, because we're no longer chasing happiness, we're living in it. We've all seen people who have everything, wealth, power, status, but still feel empty inside. And we've also seen people who dedicate their lives to serving others, who give everything they have to a mission, and somehow they radiate joy. They have a sense of peace, of meaning, of deep fulfillment. That's not a coincidence. That's the power of purpose. But here's the catch. Living for something bigger than yourself requires surrender. It requires letting go of the need to always be in control, to always have the answers, to always put yourself first. It means trusting that if you give yourself fully to a mission, you will be provided for. It means understanding that true greatness isn't found in what you achieve, it's found in who you lift up along the way. And the best part? When you surrender to a purpose beyond yourself, you don't just impact the world, you transform yourself. You become stronger, more resilient, more alive. Because you are no longer just working for yourself, you are answering a calling. You are walking a path that is bigger than any one person, and in doing so, you are stepping into the life you were always meant to live. We are wired to seek certainty. We want to know how things will turn out before we take the first step. We want guarantees before we invest our time, our energy, our hearts. And when we don't have those guarantees, we hesitate. We second-guess ourselves. We hold back because stepping into the unknown feels risky, it feels uncomfortable, it feels like losing control. But let me ask you this. When has anything truly great in your life come with absolute certainty? When have you ever known the full outcome before taking the leap? You see, the biggest breakthroughs, the most transformative moments, the greatest victories in life never come with a roadmap. They come when we have the courage to move forward, even when we can't see the whole picture. They come when we have faith. Faith in the unknown is not about blindly hoping for the best. It's about trusting that there is a purpose behind every step, even when we don't fully understand it. It's about believing that every closed door is redirecting us, every setback is strengthening us, and every challenge is preparing us for something greater. It's about surrendering our need for control and stepping forward even when the path isn't clear. Think about the most successful people in the world, not just in business, but in leadership, in creativity, in personal growth. They didn't achieve greatness because they had all the answers. They achieved greatness because they had faith in what they could not yet see. They took risks. They moved forward when others hesitated. They trusted that even if they didn't have the full plan, they were meant to take the next step. And that's the hardest part, isn't it? Taking the next step without knowing exactly where it leads. But that's where faith comes in. Because faith isn't about seeing, it's about believing. It's about knowing that even if we don't have control, we are being guided. How many times in your life have you faced uncertainty only to look back later and realize everything was working out exactly as it was supposed to? The job you didn't get, the relationship that ended, the opportunity that slipped away, it all made sense later. It all led you to something better. But in the moment, it felt like failure. It felt like you were lost. That's the challenge of faith. It requires trust before clarity. We live in a world that tells us to rely on logic, on evidence, on things we can measure and predict. And yes, strategy and planning matter, but there will always come a point where logic runs out, where the only way forward is faith. Because if you only move when the path is fully clear, you'll never move at all. If you wait for perfect conditions, you'll be waiting forever. The greatest things in life require us to step forward before we're ready, to trust before we understand, to believe before we see. And faith in the unknown isn't just about achieving success, it's about finding peace. Because the moment we stop needing to control every outcome, we free ourselves from fear. We stop living in constant stress, constantly trying to predict and manipulate the future. Instead, we embrace the journey. We walk forward with confidence, knowing that even if we don't have all the answers, we are exactly where we are meant to be. Think about the people who radiate true confidence. Not arrogance, but deep, unshakable confidence. They're not the ones who have everything figured out. They're the ones who trust that no matter what happens, they will find a way. They're the ones who believe in something bigger than themselves, something greater than their own plans. And that's the kind of faith we need. The faith that keeps us moving even when we don't see the full picture. The faith that reminds us that just because we don't know the whole plan, doesn't mean there isn't one. The faith that gives us the strength to step into the unknown, knowing that the path will reveal itself as we walk. Ego is a powerful thing. It can drive us to succeed, push us to prove ourselves, and fuel our ambition, but it can also be the very thing that holds us back. Ego makes us believe that we have to do everything on our own. It makes us resistant to feedback, unwilling to admit when we're wrong, and too proud to ask for help. And when we let our ego take control, we don't grow, we stay stuck. The biggest obstacle to our success isn't always external. It's not the economy, the competition, or the people who doubt us. More often than not, the biggest obstacle is our own ego, our need to be right, our desire for validation, our fear of looking weak. But here's the truth, the strongest people are not the ones who pretend to have all the answers. They are the ones who are willing to admit when they don't. We live in a world that glorifies status, recognition, and personal achievement. We're told that if we work hard enough, we can build a name for ourselves. We can prove that we are better, smarter, more capable than the rest. But what happens when our obsession with being the best blinds us to what truly matters? What happens when we become so focused on protecting our image that we forget why we started in the first place? The problem with ego is that it makes everything about us. It makes us believe that success is about proving something to the world. But real success is not about proving, it's about serving. It's about using what we have to make an impact. And the only way to do that is by letting go of our ego and surrendering to something bigger than ourselves. Think about the greatest leaders in history, the ones who truly changed the world. They didn't lead with arrogance. They didn't make it about themselves. They led with humility. They were willing to learn. They were willing to admit their flaws. They surrounded themselves with people who challenged them, not people who fed their ego. And because of that, they became unstoppable. The moment we let go of our ego, we open ourselves up to growth. We start listening instead of just talking. We start learning instead of pretending to know it all. We start seeing people not as competitors, but as collaborators. And that shift changes everything. Ego tells us that we have to be the best, that we have to win every argument, that we have to protect our reputation at all costs. But when we live like that, we're constantly at war. War with ourselves, war with others, war with reality. Letting go of ego means understanding that we don't have to be the best. We just have to be better than we were yesterday. It means realizing that true confidence doesn't come from pretending to be perfect. It comes from embracing imperfection and striving to improve. And here's the irony. When we let go of ego, we actually become stronger. Because strength isn't about appearing invincible. Strength is about being real. It's about being willing to say, I don't know, but I'm willing to learn. It's about being able to step back and ask, how can I serve rather than just succeed? Letting go of ego doesn't mean giving up ambition. It doesn't mean we stop striving for excellence. It simply means we stop making it about us. It means we focus on the mission instead of our personal recognition. It means we value progress over pride. It means we are open to learning, to failing, to growing, because that's the only way to truly move forward. And the best part? When we let go of our ego, we gain something even more powerful. We gain clarity. We gain perspective. We gain the freedom to lead, to serve, and to become the person we were meant to be. We are raised to believe that freedom is found in independence, in the ability to control every aspect of our lives. From the moment we take our first breath, we are taught that to be free means to be in command, to dictate our outcomes, and to shape our destiny with our own hands. But what if the very notion of freedom as control is an illusion? What if true liberation is discovered not in tightening our grip on life, but in surrendering to its natural flow? Imagine a bird soaring high in the sky. It doesn't spend its time battling the wind. Rather, it extends its wings and lets the currents lift it to greater heights. In a similar way, surrendering means releasing the need to micromanage every twist and turn of our journey. It means trusting that the forces at work, whether they be the universe, a higher power, or the collective energy of life, will guide us toward where we are meant to be. This act of surrender is not about weakness or defeat. It is about embracing a deeper, more expansive sense of freedom that comes from letting go of our need to control every outcome. We live in a culture that often equates surrender with failure. We are told that if we do not fight for every inch, we are conceding defeat. Yet the most resilient and transformative individuals are those who have learned the art of surrender. They understand that every moment spent struggling against the inevitable is a moment wasted. Instead, they choose to trust in the unfolding of life, recognizing that the very act of surrender opens them up to possibilities far beyond their own limited vision. Consider the mighty oak tree standing tall and steadfast against the elements. It does not fight every gust of wind or resist every storm. Instead, it bends gracefully, allowing the forces of nature to flow around it. This flexibility is its strength. In the same way, when we let go of the urge to control, we become like that oak, resilient, adaptable, and deeply rooted in our true selves. The freedom that comes from surrender is not about relinquishing responsibility. It's about finding a balance between action and acceptance, between striving and allowing. Surrender invites us to let go of the burdens of expectation, both from others and from ourselves. It challenges us to release the heavy armor of ego and the constant need for certainty. In doing so, we discover that the unknown is not a void to be feared, but a space filled with potential and wonder. When we free ourselves from the tyranny of predictability, we open the door to creativity, innovation, and profound personal growth. Each act of surrender becomes a stepping stone toward a more authentic and fulfilling existence. This process of surrender is deeply personal and transformative. It requires the courage to admit that we do not have all the answers, that our plans are not infallible, and that sometimes the best course of action is to trust in the greater design of life. By releasing our grip on control, we allow ourselves to be guided by intuition and faith. In these moments of vulnerability, we tap into a source of strength that is far more powerful than the fleeting confidence born of self-reliance. It is a strength that comes from knowing that we are part of something much larger than ourselves. When we embrace surrender, we are not giving up. We are choosing to live with a profound openness to the world around us. We begin to see that life's unpredictability is not an enemy to be conquered, but a dance to be joined. Each unexpected twist, each unforeseen setback becomes an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to discover new facets of our inner resilience. The freedom found in surrender is a liberating acceptance of life as it is, a recognition that our true power lies not in our ability to control, but in our capacity to adapt, to trust, and to evolve in harmony with the natural flow of existence.